Just a few hours, President Trump heads to Canada for a summit with the leaders of the world's biggest economies.
But he is not expecting a warm welcome there. And in fact, tonight, he started a new war of words, if you will, with some of our closest allies. KCON9 political reporter Bryan is here to explain why Mr. Trump is not looking forward to this G7 summit.
Yeah, this is not going to be a fun day for the president, and we're going to tell you exactly why. The Washington Post reports tonight that the hostility between President Trump and the leaders of several key allied countries boiled over recently during a series of angry phone calls with some other leaders around the world. And tomorrow, President Trump may be facing some pretty angry leaders of the G7 summit from other countries they're meeting in Canada.
Stop deportations!
With demonstrators setting fires in the streets and cheering fireworks shot off in the crowd, they angrily marched through Quebec City, protesting the annual summit of 7 countries, including the U.S., called the G7 Summit. But the anger of the street protesters may seem mild compared to what President Trump could be facing from the leaders of the 6 other countries when they convene on Friday in Canada. They're angry over a growing list of Trump administration policies, with trade tariffs at the top of the list, which also includes the U.S. abandoning trade agreements the president says are a terrible deal for America. And also on the list are major differences on climate change and the U.S. abandoning the Iran nuclear deal. The bitter battle began on Thursday, even before the president arrived, and much of it was carried out on Twitter. Infuriated by President Trump's imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, European leaders charged those tariffs could wind up backfiring on the U.S. economy. French President Emmanuel Macron and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau warned Trump that going it alone might not work out so well for the U.S. Macron tweeted, "The American president might not mind being isolated, but neither do we mind signing a 6-country agreement if need be." President Trump fired back, tweeting, "Please tell Prime Minister Trudeau and President Macron that they are charging the U.S. massive tariffs and create non-monetary barriers. The EU trade surplus with the U.S. is $151 billion, and Canada keeps our farmers and others out. Look forward to seeing them tomorrow." At a news conference in Canada Thursday, the French president responded that the 6 other G7 countries will continue to move forward on trade with or without the U.S.
Perhaps President Trump doesn't mind that he's being isolated today, but these 6 countries have shared values. We represent an economic market that has the strength of history behind it and also represents true international strength today.
President Trump then turned his Twitter tantrum on the Canadian President Trudeau. Prime Minister Trudeau, he wrote, is being so indignant, bringing up the relationship that the U.S. and Canada had over many years and all sorts of other things, but he doesn't bring up the fact that they charge us up to 300% on dairy, hurting our farmers, killing our agriculture. On Thursday, the Washington Post reported that President Trump was particularly angry at Trudeau and that he complained to aides that he didn't even want to go to the G7 summit because he said he's at odds with the other 6 countries on many key issues and doesn't want to be lectured by them for 2 days. President Trump's economic advisor urged all sides to take a deep breath and calm down.
We're talking everything through. There may be disagreements. I regard this as much like a family quarrel. I'm always the optimist. I believe it can be worked out.
Well, now it appears President Trump's stop in Quebec will be short, if not sweet. The White House announcing this evening that President Trump will leave the meeting on Saturday morning, several hours before the other leaders will be taking off. That means the president will spend only about 24 hours at the G7 meeting before taking off for Singapore and his summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And guys, I got to tell you that after what he's going to go through tomorrow, the North Korean meeting might not seem so bad, huh?
Yeah, we'll certainly find out in the next few days, Dave. Thank you so much.